Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Jump Up Supercast Game Club. My name is Brandon, and I am your host today. And joining me, I have Ills.
I'm in the past. No, I'm in the present. No, where am I?
And I got Noah.
What's going on? What are these powers?
Are you guys having some problems? You guys having some issues with your psyche?
I need glasses or something. I don't know.
So this week we played a game that you guys are obviously referencing, which we often do, and that game is called Second Sight. That was on the Nintendo GameCube.
Along with other systems, right?
Yeah. Oh, I always forget. It was on the PS2 and the Xbox as well, the original Xbox, and Microsoft Windows. Right. It was multi-platform, released on just about everything. Back in 2004, released in Europe and North America. September 21st in North America, 2004. Never released in Japan. They don't
Did any of the time? It's made by the same people that made Time Splitters. Did Time Splitters release ever in Japan?
That I don't know, actually. So yeah, you mentioned it was developed by the same guys who made Time Splitters. Free Radical Design. A lot of core people that work at Free Radical. Unfortunately, they're not around. It's not a company anymore. But they worked on GoldenEye. There are a lot of people from Rare that went over and made Free Radical after they left Rare. They made Time Splitters 1, Time Splitters 2, then Second Sight, Time Splitters Future Perfect, and then a game called Haze that I never have even played or really heard of. But this also, a lot of people have heard of Time Splitters. It's pretty popular. But Second Sight and apparently Haze are some of the games that, the other two games that they made that nobody really ever knows about or really talks about.
I had no idea about them, and I love Time Splitters.
Right. Like, I played a little bit of Time Splitters, and you can tell, like, it's very much like the art style's very similar.
Oh yeah, the art style, the animations, the characters, the models, they all look very Time Splitters, yeah.
Yes. So I actually picked this game this week. And the reason why I picked it, I played it back when it came out in 2004. And this was one of those we've talked about this in the past, like a Nintendo Power game. A game that, I read Nintendo Power a lot growing up, and Nintendo Power was always talking about games that wouldn't really become super popular, but they would try to push, hey, well, this game's pretty good, you guys should check it out. And this was one of those games, and I ended up buying it when it came out, and I enjoyed it. I had I remember playing it and being like, this was pretty interesting. It's a good game, and it also was a game that I would mention to people once in a while and be like, hey, you ever heard of Second Sight? It's made by the Time Splitters guys. Nobody ever heard of it. Nobody ever heard of this game. So if you wound up clicking on this episode, because you've heard of it, because you've heard of this game, you're in the minority here. And if you haven't, I wonder how you found this episode, is what I'm wondering, unless you already followed us. But so yeah, that's why I picked it. I was like, I kind of want to go back and replay it. It's been a very long time, and I want other people to actually play this game too, because apparently nobody has. So yeah, that's why I picked it.
Nintendo Power, doing the Lord's work, shining a light on unknown games.
There's more to come from my end too, for Nintendo Power type games. A lot of times, they gave you a little hidden gems. Not necessarily, the best games in the universe, but at least something worth checking out,
What kind of scores did they give this game? Do you remember?
What did they give this game? They gave it a 4.7 out of 5.
Oh, wow, really? Holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
Well, maybe at the time.
Yeah, maybe.
So, going back, yeah, I guess it hasn't aged as well as, you would hope. But at the time, maybe it was. But we'll get into why it might not have aged that well. Also, just want to point out, 2 picks in a row, I picked a game that your character has psychic powers, because I picked Psychonauts last time. So
you mentioned that last time.
Yeah,
too.
I'm really
about the
into
psychic.
it, I guess. Hey,
You just want to be a Jedi.
I do, you know. So this game has you. It's a third-person shooter. It's third-person action adventure shooter stealth. It tries a lot of things.
Yeah, it tries a lot of things, and it's not a master of any of them.
Not a master of any of them, but it does try. There's a lot of stuff going on. So unlike Time Splitters, this game is all in third person. Although there is a camera that you can switch to first person, but you cannot walk around, so it's really pointless.
The camera in general is super weird. I don't even understand why they gave you so many options, because most of them are useless.
I mean, I'm always down. Options are always good.
Yeah, but I mean, to map them to like one of your face buttons, and then to like, you know, for them never to be useful. I don't know.
Yeah, the only one that's really useful is just the main one that lets you control the others. You know, control the camera with the C stick, just the free range camera.
And I mean, the first person one I used when I was in like corridors and like because the camera was stationed like Resident Evil style, it was just like at a fixed angle. I would like use it quickly to look ahead of like the long corridor that's normally sideways to look ahead if there's anybody there. But other than that, I never really used it.
So you play as a gentleman named John Baddock. You start the game, you wake up in a medical facility, and you can't remember anything. The man has amnesia. Classic. He finds out shortly that he has psychic abilities. He can pick stuff up with his mind. He can fry, locks and cameras and stuff using that same ability, like telekinesis. And the game kind of has an interesting take where it switches back and forth between the present day and the past. So he'll have a flashback near the end of the level, and it will go back to the past, and you get to see the events played out of how he got his powers.
6 months in the past.
Yeah,
6 months. Yeah,
I like that transition between going back and forth. Like I thought that part was cool.
Yeah, I generally like it. But like the plot twist later on kind of destroys it for me. Story wise, not structure wise.
Yeah, it is interesting. I do, but yeah, structure wise, it like kind of falls apart. But it's still, I did like that way of telling a story. I thought that was really interesting. Back then, I thought it was interesting, and even now, I still think it's a cool way to tell a story. It really is, instead of just all at once, just having, especially with you first wake up and he's like, I don't know who I am. I don't know how I got these powers. And, you as a player are wondering the same thing. And, it's cool to see, to go back and forth. You're in the present, he's trying to figure out more and more of who he is. In the past, you're figuring that out, which is, it's cool.
Right. Yeah. I like that the gameplay, at least initially in the past, is more gun oriented, and in the present, you're more geared to using your psychic powers.
Yeah,
I kind of like that
powers.
That change.
Yeah,
that
though
change of pace is cool.
I do definitely like the gun segments, and it's an interesting aiming mechanic. I'm not in certain situations I like it a lot, but then in other scenarios where it's like I'm trying to like kill enemies quickly, I'm not a fan of the aiming. I do love the sniper rifle though.
I hate the aiming in this game. Holy shit.
With the snapback thing. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either. It's okay, but it's
if you're
okay
going at your own
rifle.
pace, like I said with the sniper rifle, I love it, but
I like the little window,
Yeah, but like if you're taking your time and you have nobody like harassing you, it's good. But if you're getting like swarmed by enemies, it's the worst.
Yeah, and it's impossible to fucking try to pull off a headshot. The reticle always locks back down to the middle. It always drifts back down. So if you're doing it, you're like flicking up to do it.
Yeah, you use the C stick to try to like flick it up, so it will always snap back to the middle when you do the lock on. So you press L to lock on. And then you use the C stick to try to flick it up towards the head.
But also, if there are other enemies near the target and you're trying to like move your aim towards like a body part or the head, if the other enemy is too close, it'll just snap to the other person. And I hate that.
This is another problem because it incorporates the aiming for guns with the aiming for all your psychic abilities, so you're able to like aim at boxes and stuff while you're trying to shoot.
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous, because there's way too many things to interact with telekinesis.
That does become an issue. It's a kind of a pain in the ass. It's
some of the powers are kind of like useless, like the being able to pick up objects power. Like in the beginning you use it to distract enemies so you can stealth, but it's a little bit too finicky and not really that great. Especially when unless you have like the burning power or something. Most of the powers are kind of useless against enemies. You might as well just use the gun
because later on you upgrade each psychic power gets an upgrade. So that one where you get to pick up items, you get to pick up humans and choke them, and you can toss their bodies around.
That was my favorite use of telekinesis. I never
that was very fun. I liked being able to just pick up people and like smash their bodies up against like walls and ceilings.
Yeah, but it took too much energy to like kill someone with telekinesis.
It did take a lot, yeah. But what I actually had a lot of fun doing was, if you were high up somewhere, tossing them off ledges and cliffs.
Yeah,
that was very fun.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that's like always the best part of using telekinesis, just like flinging people away. But like one of the problems with this game is that whenever you use telekinesis, it's never like, you never feel like it's very forceful. They're always like gliding along. They're never like being thrown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you could kind of like flick it, and they would go. You would toss them. If you flick the stick, you would toss them. So you could kind of like toss them off cliffs.
I don't know. It just always felt like they were moving so slow when telekinesis.
It wasn't worth choking them out completely because it took so long and took a lot of energy, unless you were doing it like stealth.
Yeah.
But. And then the other thing was I want to go through the psychic powers here. You had telekinesis, which we talked about. You had a psychic blast like thing that you could do, where you just like shoot a ball at somebody. That took up way too much energy. You could only get off like 2 of those.
Yeah.
You also had one with the upgrade of that was you could just like do like a burst around you, so anything in your vicinity would go flying back.
Which I found pretty useful, yeah.
Pretty useful in certain situations. Didn't kill bad guys, but knocked them out for a good few seconds so you could swap to your gun and shoot them.
Well, I think it could kill people if they were closer to you.
If they were almost dead too, I think it would. Yeah. But it wouldn't necessarily always kill people. But you could always swap to their gun. They were down for a good couple seconds, so that was pretty useful. Did take up a lot of your psychic, because you do have an energy bar, which you alluded to. It does fill up over time if you're not using it. So then you also have healing, which this made the game a little bit too easy. You could heal yourself, and then later the upgrade of that was you could heal anybody else. Yeah. So your partners or people in your squad.
A lot of rescue mission segments in this game. Well, maybe not a lot, but a few.
There's a few. And then you had the last one, and my favorite one was you could split yourself from your body to be able to go through like laser grids to go hit switches and stuff, or check around the corner. Cameras couldn't detect you, but once the upgraded version of that was you could possess somebody.
Yeah,
and that was very fun.
Yeah.
You could possess somebody and just, possess a bad guy, make him kill all the other bad guys. My only problem with it, and me and you both agreed on this, is you couldn't kill yourself.
I mean, that's integral. You need to be able to do that. Like, what's the point of leaving one guy
Oddworld
alive?
did it.
Yeah, it was annoying.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, Oddworld did it. I was like, damn. I wish it was Oddworld for once.
So yeah, you could go kill everybody else, but then you'd leave one guy alive, which was kind of a pain. Which, I mean, yeah, it's not a big deal. You have to go kill that one guy after, but still, I wish you could just kill yourself at the end.
I wish you could do that all the time.
Yeah, well, so those are all the psychic abilities. Gives you a decent amount. There's a lot to play with. And the weird thing I found while playing through this game though was. There would be levels where I wouldn't really use the abilities, especially once you get to the parts where it's in the past, and you do get your psychic powers.
Right.
I still was heavily relying on gunplay.
Yeah,
over
the guns
using
are
some of them.
Generally more useful. A lot of the time.
Yeah.
You know?
We're killing enemies, definitely. There's still parts in the game that there's light puzzle solving, nothing like too crazy that you have to use the psychic powers for.
Yeah.
And some of them are kind of cool.
Like when you're in that government building, I forget what it's called, National Security Executive, some shit like that.
Yeah.
Well, I was just like possessing guards to like go check the computers, because if you got spotted by one guard, there was like 30 of them on you.
That level was a pain in the ass with the guards. Yeah.
So I was possessing the guards to like access the computers and find out what I had to do. Yeah.
Yeah. I do want to mention that actually, with this game, because you're trying to figure out more about yourself. It's cool. I like that you could access computers and kind of.
Yeah, I really like that too. You'd be able to interact with computers. Like I remember in the hospital one, there was this guard that like your first encounter when you discover your like energy blast power.
Yeah.
And then if you go on the computer to check out like where the room is where you're supposed to go, like the patient records or something.
Yeah.
And like you can open this chat window that the guard was talking to like his wife or his girlfriend or something.
Yep.
And she actually keeps talking for like, she says like different things for like a good 5 minutes.
Yeah,
like after you kill him,
cool.
She's like, "Where are you? Are you there? What happened? Are you okay?"
I did see that. Yeah, that was really cool. And then at one point, there's one level where you find a computer disc and you put it in a computer, and you get to play like a fucking game, like a little mini game.
Yeah, there's a few mini games in the game. I think it's like three or
some arcade games, like little spaceship games. I thought that was cool. It's a cool. Little. It's interesting. Most of the games, you get on a computer and it's just a cutscene of the character being like talking to himself, like I'm going to access this, and he's just like typing on the keyboard, and you never actually get to see it. But this game like actually lets you do it. Go through the computer files and read the emails and stuff. I liked that. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I really liked that too. It was really cool.
Yeah, but it was like a small part of the game.
It's a small, it's a small part of the game.
I'm not going to give the game a 10
unfortunately.
because of it.
Oh no, but it's
10 out of
just
10.
an interesting to know. I thought it was cool. Little thing that usually most games don't. Like I said, you would just show somebody being like,
right.
Here's my files. And
one thing I thought that was a weird missing power that you never got was that. Like, every other psychic later on had, like, this bullet shield, and you never got that. It's like, why? You're stronger than all of them. Why
That's
don't
true,
you have
but
this power?
Yeah, even the kids. Kids had it. They
were, like, invulnerable to harm, and it was like, damn, I wish I had that.
Yeah, well, they could heal themselves, too, because I noticed them doing that, which is cool, because then you didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I don't know why you didn't get that. I do like, though, when you get near the end of the game, you have to fight, like, other psychic soldiers, which...
Yeah.
That made it actually like a little bit more interesting in terms of combat.
Yeah. I like that you could drain their shield eventually. Like,
yes.
But if you just keep shooting them, eventually they'll run out of psychic power, and then you can kill them.
I did like that, and it felt fair. They couldn't just do it forever.
Yeah.
That was a cool part. I liked, when they first showed up and they were breaking out of the tubes.
Oh yeah, that fight was kind of interesting. There was like 3 of them.
Yeah,
and it was that was like the closest thing to a boss battle the game had to me.
It was. Yeah, and even I loved how you pointed out the end of the game, and I loved how you said this because literally I had the same fucking thought when I was doing it. Very Mark of Kree right at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Or it's just like, hey, we're gonna throw a shitload of guys at you, and you just have to kill them all. Except
it's easier than Mark of Kree because you have like 4 people helping you. It's like...
Yeah, you have the kids helping you. It definitely is easier, but it was like, the same kind of situation. Yeah, I was like, they couldn't think of anything. They just fight a bunch of super soldiers.
I knew there wasn't gonna be a boss. This whole game had that feel. It was like, there's no boss battle coming.
No boss battles. Yeah. So there was stealth in the game too, but the stealth was almost like optional stealth.
Yeah,
I tried to use it in the beginning a lot in the hospital especially, but it's not worth it.
It doesn't really work because there's not like there's not really ways to be stealthy,
I mean, you do get that power, the charm power, it makes you turn invisible. That helps.
Yeah, that helps, but I mean, like the stealth in general is not interesting. They don't give you enough opportunities to make it worthwhile.
Exactly. They don't like. There should be stealth kills. More ways to stealth kill people, waiting around corners and grab. I figured out on accident you can fucking grab people and use them as shields in this game.
Oh yeah.
I learned that early on.
I did that on accident, like halfway through the game, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know you could do this. And then I never did it again though.
Yeah, but it's very finicky. You have to be like directly.
You have to be right behind them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
Very
it's not very useful. Mm-hmm. It's not like Mark of Cree where like every direction you have a stealth kill basically.
Yeah, the stealth it was weird. It felt like there was no point in doing it. Although I will say I kind of liked that it felt open-ended. How they were like, well, just do it how you want. Use the psychic powers if you want. Use the guns if you want. Use the stealth if you want. But also takes away from all of them at the same time.
Yeah, because none of them are specifically, focused on.
They're not refined.
The game is not like specialized in any one of them. So.
Exactly, right. It gives you the option to do it any way you want, but also because it does, you just find yourself not caring about one of them, right?
Yeah.
It's probably the stealth and it's just whatever. I'm just gonna go kill everybody. There's certain parts of the game that you can't do that because the enemies will never stop.
Yeah.
So you have to like eventually be a little bit stealthy, but it's very few.
Yeah, and it's generally not rewarding. It's just always better to kill everyone.
Yeah, if you got like a different, like an extra cutscene or like something at the end for being stealthy instead of like killing everybody, then that would have been I would be more motivated to be stealthy. But since there wasn't, I was just like, well, okay.
Yeah, there's not a lot of incentive to be. And I will say though, I want to talk about the graphics too in this game. So we mentioned earlier that it has cool character design because it looks like the Time Splitters. Basically, literally the same exact character design.
Yeah, they use the same
character
assets,
models and everything. But I always liked that because they were very expressive.
Yes,
they're almost
very
cartoony.
expressive. Yeah.
I would say cartoony, but they still felt like very generic to me. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
I can see that.
Like none of the characters have like very distinguishing features, and none of them have like much of a personality. So I was just like, okay, these are just like people. I don't really care. I don't give a fuck about them.
Yeah, they were. I mean, John himself is meh. He's a little bit. I kind of like at the beginning. He's very skeptic. He's not into psychic powers my ass kind of guy. And then Jane though is your stereotypical psychic.
She's the believer.
that nobody else believes until they're forced to. And then literally every single other person on your squad. You have the captain who is just generic squad leader, and then everybody else. I don't even know a single one of their names.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It never matters. Like, there's never a point where you're gonna have to know their names, and you never identify them by personality. Not any of the characters.
Yeah. I will say, although the story itself was interesting, I never cared about a single character in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the story was pretty good up until the end. The end kind of fucked it for me. I don't know if you agree.
Not really. I mean, I didn't really have a problem. I thought it was interesting. And spoiler alert for a 15-year-old game. At the end of the game, you find out that the past is actually the present, and the present is actually the future.
Yeah.
So you were playing through a future that you could change in the present. It's very weird.
There's like so much, like, it's so dumb because you go through so many actions in the fake future, that it wouldn't make sense for you to be able to see that far. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But
I'm seeing the fucking routes of every guard from the future, like 6 months in the future. Like, why the fuck? What? Huh?
It is kind of dumb, but it's also kind of a cool twist at the end. I don't know. I didn't really have a problem with it.
It has shock value, but if you think about it for like 30 minutes afterwards, you're gonna be like,
oh yeah, of course. I mean,
fuck.
any sort of thing like that, if you think about it for too long.
Anytime traveling scenario story will have plot holes like that.
Yeah, but the problem with this game is that it's not super enjoyable enough to make you forgive those problems. At least on my end. Like,
I don't know. I can see where you're coming from, but at the same time, it didn't bother me as much.
Yeah. The other thing about the story is that it was kind of like, I feel like I keep using this word. This is like my word of the week, but it was just kind of bland because like you never really got the sense of what the bad guys were trying to accomplish or why it was a bad thing. Like,
well, they were trying to weaponize psychic powers, and they were trying to weaponize children that had psychic abilities.
Yeah, but there were no stakes involved. It was just like, okay, save the children. Oh, what's gonna happen?
I mean, if you're gonna make an army of psychic kids, I mean,
yeah, I mean, you infer that, but you're never like shown like the bad things that are going to happen. You never like given a sense of,
Yeah, if they had shown that the kids were going like berserk or something, or they were like being tortured and things like that, that would add more.
Or that the world would have like this hugely negative consequence from that.
Yeah, they definitely could have showed the consequences a lot more. Yeah. I mean, the kids were being like pretty much tortured and held against their will.
Yeah.
Which made you be like, okay, well, they shouldn't be doing this to children, Which I guess would be your incentive right there.
Maybe
if any of us cared about kids, this would maybe be a little bit more personal.
Yeah.
But coming from a couple guys who just don't care about kids at all. It's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. It's just, I feel like they should have made the stakes a lot stronger. Like, they should have made the bad guy actually seem super bad.
Well, sometimes
he's just like nefarious.
Sometimes you have to have a personal struggle that's not on a huge scale.
Oh boy, yeah. So I'm looking 6 months into the past because of my personal struggle. Into the future, my bad.
Yeah, I mean it's not the greatest story in the universe, that's for sure. It's also not like terrible, but I see where you're coming from. I definitely understand where you're coming from though. And the characters are certainly bland, that's for sure.
Yeah. I didn't care about a single one of them.
Yeah. I'll say most of the graphics are kind of bland, too. The environments.
Yeah, very drab. Like, a lot of muted
drab.
colors.
I don't know if that's what they were going for, probably, but it doesn't really hold up well or look amazing, that's for sure. It's not a pretty, like, game.
No.
It doesn't look terrible, but it doesn't really stand out. It's probably the art direction, but...
Yeah, I feel like they were kind of going for like a photorealism kind of thing, like trying to make it look realistic, but it doesn't come off well.
Yeah, and most of the environments were kind of samey, and there were a couple interesting ones. I did like when you go to that one psychic ward to break out Jane in Vermont.
Yeah.
That was kind of neat, and I liked the streets where you're on the streets of, I think it was New York.
Yeah, it was New York, yeah.
Yeah, you're in New York City, and you're just, that was an interesting level, because you get a tattoo and join a gang.
It's so weird.
It's so nonchalant. You just get a tattoo in the middle of the level, and he's like, alright, I'm part of this gang now.
Yeah. It's definitely the most diverse level, but it kind of feels out of place at the same time.
I did early on when I first played it. I actually fucked up and like just started shooting at the gang.
Yeah,
and then they turn against you if you do that, and then the level becomes just a huge pain in the ass. So I just restarted it. But the gang you have to join this gang. You have to like do them a favor and deliver them a package or whatever, which probably drugs. I don't even know. Once you do though, they start helping you, which is kind of neat as long as you don't shoot them.
Yeah, it's such a small portion of the game. Like, they help you for, like, 5 minutes.
Yeah. Kind of cool, though. That's probably, like, my favorite level. I kind of like the last level, too, that had you jumping back and forth, like, between the future and the past, or
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It was interesting. I mean, it was okay. I don't even know if I would call it interesting, but it was okay.
Some of the levels in the game were like fucking 5 minutes too.
Yeah, that was weird. Like there was a lot of different like time difference between levels. Like some of them will take you like 30 minutes, and the other one was like 2. I had no idea why they did it like that, but okay.
Me neither. Very weird.
Also, I mean, you were talking about how the environments were very samey. Like half the game that takes place in the past is all snow. So, I mean, like,
yeah, that's really very samey. That's like what all I could think of when I think of the past levels was just snow environments. It's just blah to me. At first I was like, oh, neat, and then I was like, okay, like still snow. They could have maybe tried to switch it up a little bit. I don't know, do something, but yeah. And even in the present, there was just lots of like facilities. Corridors.
Yeah, a lot of buildings.
Yeah.
That you go through.
Yeah.
You go through a medical facility. You go through a government place. You go through a psychic ward. Lots of
buildings. Lots of
buildings you go through.
I guess that's why the street level stands out so much. You're not trapped in
the sewers.
Yeah, I like the sewers a lot too.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. And that's the one with like probably the most puzzle solving, I'd say.
Yeah, there's switches and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like one cool part. It was early on in the game where you have to like when you first learn about the laser grids so that you could walk through them. And there was an interesting puzzle that like you walk through the laser grid, you turn it off, and then somebody ends up calling, "Oh, hey, this laser grid's off." And then you can turn it on. If you turn it back on, you can just sit there and listen to the conversation of the guys, and they're like, "Oh, I don't see what the problem is. It's on. I don't know what this guy was talking about." And they're just like, "Yeah, you can't trust that guy. He's the worst." And they just walk away. And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of neat. If you actually do that and stand here, you get to listen to that conversation." I was like, "That's kind of cool." But the enemy AI themselves, though, was just terrible. It was awful.
Oh man! In the government building, like you can kill like 30 guards and then be like walking, like just be hiding like behind the wall, and the guy on the PA would be like, "All right, thanks. Go back to your station. Thanks, guys." I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. I was talking to Noah, and I was like, I literally was this guy shooting at me, and I just ducked behind a box, and he just puts his gun by his side and walks away. He's like, "Oh, he disappeared."
Also, another thing, they will not follow you into the bathroom. I don't think they ever follow you.
They won't,
me,
and then
ever.
You can just hide in the bathroom stall, and they're like, and just over the PA, "All right, everything's fine, guys," and literally there's like 30 dead bodies laying all over the place.
Like right in front of the bathroom door.
There's no urgency at all anymore.
It's very silly.
Oh god, yeah. Video games. Only in video games can that scenario be possible.
Yep. I think that's everything we had to say, right?
Pretty
much. So let's get into recommendations. I'll start with myself because I picked this game. So it's interesting. I think so. Going back to this game after 15 years of not playing it, which is a long time, man. It's crazy to think that I played it 15 years ago. I would say. Probably not, honestly. It's okay, but it's not. It's definitely not gonna get a glowing recommendation from me now after all these years. It's not bad. If somebody's like, "Oh, I'm gonna play Second Sight," I'm not gonna be like, "Don't," But I'm also not gonna go out of my way at this point to recommend it. But if somebody was like, it's a very rare scenario. So overall, I'm gonna say no. If you're interested in it, watch a playthrough. I wouldn't bother at this point. It's okay. It's not bad. It's not terrible. It's not offensive, but it's also not amazing. There's better psychic. Go play Psychonauts if you want to play a psychic game. If you want to play a third-person shooter, go play. There's tons of them. I'll recommend you.
Winback. Go play Winback.
I was about to say Winback. Yeah.
Hell, go play fucking Winback. So, it's. I'm gonna say nah. Ills.
I mean. I was actually gonna do the exact same thing you just did. Was like recommend other games that do the portions better. Like go play Metal Gear Solid for stealth. But no, probably not. Yeah, it's I don't have high feelings about this game. I didn't really like it It took me so long to beat it.
Actually, in which reverse, it took me. I beat it like super fucking fast.
Yeah.
It's only like a 10-hour game, so you know, and you could do worse for 10 hours, but also you could do a lot better.
You could do a lot better.
Noah?
Yeah, pretty much what you said. Like, I wouldn't put effort into trying to find and get this game to play it. So if you have it laying around, then sure, yeah, why not try and play it? But nothing bad with it, nothing great about it either. But it's fun. But I don't go the extra mile to get to play this game.
All right, so now it's time for the final judgment of Second Sight when we add it to the list.
The list.
All right, so I'm gonna look at the list here, and I'm gonna throw a dart at the board, and you guys tell me what you're thinking if you agree. I'm thinking like right above God Hand.
I'm thinking like right below God Hand. I don't know.
I'm thinking on God Hand. No, I'm just kidding. I was actually looking in that area too. I'd put it below God Hand.
Here's the thing. It's like I like Mark of Cree more than this game if it just wasn't for that last level. I mean, jeez.
I will say, I mean,
Mark of Cree definitely did the
pisses me off.
Yeah, the combat in Mark of Cree is shit, and like this game beats it like clearly. But Mark of Cree does do stealth way better than this game.
It does do stealth way better, but
way more satisfying.
And kind of the stories,
and the level design is a lot better.
On the stealth levels. On the last level, the fucking game just goes out.
I'm never talking about the last level.
The last level is just like, it's...
I mean, there's only like 5 levels in that game. So the last level in the 6.
Yeah.
And the last level is like a fucking slog of like an hour long. It's like a fucking.
It's like half the game.
Yeah.
It's not half. Oh my god.
It's like a fourth of the game. I feel like I don't know.
It's still no.
But I would put. I mean, I'd put it above Mark of Cree. And I mean, personally, God Hand, I mean, I'd be willing to put it below God Hand. Even though God Hand pissed me off a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, God Hand was frustrating, but it was still fun. Like, I enjoyed it quite a bit. And the characters were really goofy and very distinct. And
I mean, I loved the humor in God Hand so fucking much, you know.
I'm gonna hate myself for actually saying this, but God Hand actually specialized in one thing, which was combat.
The combat, the combat was fucking great.
You could see that it could be.
It had a great idea, but with the cameras and everything, it was a pain in my fucking ass.
Exactly, but like the core combat part, not the targeting, because the targeting.
Being able to put your own unique move set, that was great.
Yeah. So. I think that gives it the nod.
Okay, I mean, I'm cool with that. Like I said, I'm okay with putting it below God Hand.
All right.
There you go.
Bam. Number
89.
Number 89 on the list. Second Sight. It sounds really low, but like this area of the list is like games that are just like
Game Club.
Yeah, Game Club games. Also, nothing like super. Like none of the games are like super offensive. They're just they have like
all the
glaring
super
issues.
offensive, all the super they have like flaws or issues with them, but they're generally okay games.
Yeah, and if you want to check out the list, please look in the paste bin in the description below because we forgot to say that right at the beginning.
Oh, God damn it.
Hopefully this isn't your fucking first rodeo here, though, and you already knew that.
And if it was, you picked the worst game.
and if it was, also you know for next time to click on the paste bin to follow along with the list. So it's going to be sitting at number 89 on the list. It puts it 2 spots below number 87, which is East 1 Chronicles. Also a game that we played on the Game Club. I'm going to be saying that a lot while I read off these fucking games, because this is just where the Game Club games fall. Number 88, God Hand, which we talked about a little bit, which also was a Game Club episode. So if you want to hear us, especially how I mentioned that I got really pissed while I played this game. So if you want to hear more about why I got pissed, listen to that episode. 89, Second Sight. Number 90, Mark of Cree.
Yep.
Also a Game Club game, so check that out. And number 91, the only one here in surrounding it that's not a Game Club game, Nintendo Land.
Damn.
Damn, Nintendo Land. You're in some hot water with all these Game Club games. So that's gonna do it for us talking about Second Sight. Unless we're putting it on the list, any games on the list, we're probably never really gonna talk about it ever again.
I hope so.
This is why it's fading into obscurity, because nobody talks about this game because it's just so okay that nobody has any reason to. It's so okay. That's the best way I can describe it. It's just nobody has a reason to talk about it, so that's why you hear about it and say, "Whoa, nobody talks about this game." This is why I figured it out after 15 years. This is why I want to play it, though. So that's gonna do it for the Game Club. But before we go, we got a couple of things we gotta run through. We are on social media if you want to follow us there. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I will always post when the episodes go up. So I'll post a SoundCloud link, by the way, when they go up. So you can click on that and go directly to SoundCloud, where you can follow us, because that's where we post our episodes. But if you don't listen to podcasts on SoundCloud, there's plenty of other options out there. We're also on iTunes, which you can rate us 5 stars if you loved us. Because if you didn't, I will rate you 0 stars. And I will find you. And any other podcatcher, you can find us. There's plenty of places. Just Google Jump Up Supercast if you're really confused and you don't know what to do on the internet. We also have a Twitch, twitch.tv/JumpUpSupercast. Muzzy, the fucking madman, proclaimed he is going to stream every single Friday, though that is definitely... we're waiting to see how well that holds up.
Seriously,
also, doubt. Don't forget the goddamn YouTube. Oh my god.
Yeah, well, shit, YouTube. We are on YouTube.
We're back on YouTube.
Yes, and Will actually came to me with an idea of maybe streaming some games. Me and him doing some races, like trying to play 2 games that's play the same game but play them at the same time and try to see who could beat it first.
Nobody came to me, huh?
Well, they know they would instantly lose if they came to you.
Yeah, that's so we might be doing that soon, but just follow us on Twitch. We want to hit that affiliate status. I know it's 50 followers, which is a small number, but we're working on it. So if you want to watch us play some video games, feel free to follow us. And before we go, though, we'll be back in 2 weeks playing another video game. If you noticed, Will is not here today. He is usually on the Jump Up Supercast Game Club. He couldn't make it here today. He did play a little bit of Second Sight. His opinion will be lost forever. So, oh well. But he is going to be here 2 weeks because it is his turn to pick a game. And he's not here to talk about that, but he did tell me. So I do know. I know secret information that I'm about to tell everybody. So in 2 weeks, we're going to be back and we're going to talk about our time with another GameCube classic called Chibi Robo.
Oh, nice. I actually want to play this game.
It's a game I've played before, and I love this game, man. Happy to play it again. And I have played it pretty recently. I played it like 3 or 4 years ago, so...
No, you played it for the show that we used to have, yeah?
Yeah, I played it for an old YouTube show, which you might be able to find somewhere if you looked hard enough.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm down to play it again. I'm a big fan of this game, and I'm excited to talk about it. So check us out in 2 weeks when we play and talk about Chibi Robo. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Ills and Noah, for playing this game that I really needed to find out more about because I completely forgot about it. And just thank you, everybody, for listening. Go out there, play some video games, and be nice.